Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners Community Development Strategic Plan Committee. At this time, I would like to make a roll call, ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Sear,
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright. Here. Commissioner Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Larry.
Here.
Commissioner Nash. Absent.
Guess he
I haven't heard
was there.
sound. Commissioner Pego,
Here.
Chairman Skolnick, he's excused.
Excused, yeah.
Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Brown.
Here. Thank you. At this time, I would need a motion to approve the minutes of July 20th, 2021 that is in your packet.
So moved. Support.
And support. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda this afternoon, we have a public comment on an agenda item. Do we have any public comment on the agenda item at this time?
I don't see anyone
We're
online.
not seeing any. Okay. Next item on the agenda is items for consideration. First one is CDSP 21/28-20 to authorize reimbursement to the Muskegon County Fair Association of $26,281 for half the cost to replace the roofs on Horse Farm 4, Updike School Building, and fair office garages, and reimburse 100% of the total project cost for Horse Farm 5, not to exceed $30,000 when it is completed. So,
So moved.
any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question about it.
Yes, sir.
Why is the building that belongs to the sheriff's department being paid for by the county instead of the sheriff's department budget?
Well, it's almost like one of the same. I mean, his funds are coming from the general fund.
But he didn't have to budget it in his budget,
And
nor does he pay lease for that building. So it's free space that he's paying nothing for.
yeah, same with the airport as well.
Right. And my question is, why is that department not being billed? I mean, we bill Health West for rental of their office. He's got all this storage space in the county that could be a resource to the county if it came out of his budget. I'm just.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question. And we would have to bring it to the board and discuss those charges. But I guess the reason it's always been this way, which is not a good answer, is the fact that we could charge him in return our general fund contribution to the sheriff's department would go up for that matter. There is no real revenue that sheriff generates for the road patrol or his budget, except for the jail. He does generate revenue out of the jail based on fines.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment on that if I could.
Yes.
I have a question on that. Does he store road patrol stuff out there?
Matt, do you recall what's stored out there?
Matter of Public Works, I've never been in there. We don't have access to that, but I believe he has boats, snowmobiles and stuff like that is what he stated to me.
Because if he's got stuff that they're not using, I mean, would we be better off not to keep it in inventory?
I mean,
I mean, I know he's got-
Seasonal.
Yes, some of it's seasonal, but some of it, he does have some armored cars and things like that that he's never ever used except for a parade or something. I mean, some of those, wouldn't we be better off to sell those and
yeah, they're not
into
used.
something like that?
We encourage every department, so they don't use to get rid of.
We need to find out what he's got there that could be sold, because that, it's not actually his property, it's actually county property, correct? Can we get a list of that? So we can
You want to list them both, the airport as well, I mean, Bob's.
Yeah, I'll get a list of
Because he's got, he's got,
hazmat, everything that's in those two
because if we
buildings.
could
is
lease
perfect.
those out, I
Thank
mean,
you,
it would be
ma'am.
a double whammy. We would, we would get money for selling those things and get the lease
Leasing
money.
the
Yeah,
property.
So that's like an inventory list of the buildings.
yeah,
Why?
of what he's got in it.
Yes, and I could report as well, if I may,
Yes.
that, I have talked to the sheriff because yes, the airport building is highly rentable, highly desirable property, could help the airport.
Mhm.
And the fair board could rent a
Mhm.
horsebound barn and not need money from us. So
Right.
yes,
Right.
yes, that is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I,
Yes.
can you, also in that report, can you include the square footage of space that he has and the leasable, what its value, leasable value would be?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's- And it's not at the airport, there's, I think hazmat's in there as well, not just sheriff. So yes, I'll get it all to you.
And I apologize for sharing if I know what to do.
No, you're fine, thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments at this point regarding the first item for consideration?
Yeah, so to piggyback on what Commissioner Laring was saying, I think, Mark, if I'm understanding correctly, is, and correct me, anybody, if I'm not understanding this accurately, the way that that's gonna be funded is gonna come out of the general fund either way, whether it was charged to the sheriff or we do it this way. It's just like an earmark that's different. It's a different fund. It all comes out of the same pot. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
Yes, yes.
Well, if I may.
Yeah.
May I?
Oh,
Yes.
So that, if I understand your question and your response correctly, the difference is his budget comes out of the general fund.
Mhm.
So he's got a budget. This isn't included in his budget. It's just a drain on the general fund. So the building needs a roof. I have seen all those buildings out there. They desperately need a roof and there's decay. I was considering making this motion without the sheriff's portion in it, but then there's just further decay to county infrastructure.
Right.
We own the buildings, we lease it to the fair board, except for this one building, they actually can garner revenue off of this building. The chief income for the fair board, the way they make money to support their operation is by leasing this space in the winter time for trailer storage. That building is not available to them. So they could profit off of this. Right now, it's just a sinking hole that he can fill with more militarized equipment.
That's a correct statement, and the airport's the same way. Airport probably could be more revenue. But both the airport and the fairgrounds, both do excellent jobs. So it helps their revenue. For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you, Mr. Mark, that those barns need some care.
They need
And
some
Matt, I
attention.
want to thank you. The bid memos, those are good and they have good description and itemizes the item. So let's see that. So thank you for doing that.
Mr. Chair, I have another comment.
Yes.
If I do have some concerns that we would take the $30,000 out of the general fund, where basically it should go against the sheriff's budget.
Right.
So I think it should be credited, or I don't know if it credited is a right term for that, but it should go against the sheriff's budget. And then if he needs to come for more money, he can come back and ask for more money. But we shouldn't pay something that belongs to any department out of the general fund with this of money. So if he's still got $30,000 left in his budget, it should come out of his budget. And then if he needs something else, he needs to come back to us and ask for it.
No, I hear what you're saying. In Beth's presentation, I think on the 23rd, 6th, will outline all the budgets. If I recall, the revenue for the sheriff's department, if you look at the bottom line, put it all under one bottom line, they're short already.
Yep.
Because the revenue is a lot less generated than what.
In all fairness, the sheriff never ends a sentence with anything but and adjust the budget accordingly.
Mhm.
And everything he comes to us for, is not, most of the stuff he comes to us for is not budgeted. And his motion reads and adjust the budget accordingly. He needs to be more conscientious and saving and planning and budgeting than just the
Just
budget
an
accordingly.
I was just saying, I think that part of it is we have to remember that we just came through a pandemic and revenues for the sheriff department has really been cut in half pretty much because they're only allowed to use 50% of that jail to house based on the regulations that they got from MDOC. So there's a lot of revenue that they've been missing since this pandemic began. And I don't believe that they've even even started open to capacity.
No,
yet.
yeah, correct.
And so it's still hindering them in some way. So, I would see that, agree with you on that normally, but at this time, I just think it's one of those things where, like you say, the budget's not lining up and then their revenue is just not lining up. So it's something that we're probably gonna have to
And
absorb.
I understand that, but I thought that the judges were being very careful about who they sent to jail. And a lot of people that they might have sent before, they weren't sending.
No, it's.
And I know we didn't
The
get any transfers
FEOC
from the state.
that regulations
time.
in all the prisons and all the jails, so that everybody had to fall back to 50%
Okay,
capacity.
and I know
So-
we didn't get any transfers at all from the state during.
And that was the thing, is the state stopped a lot of those, because what
But
they
the-
didn't want is they
the
didn't want a lot of
expenses
in
should've
and
gone
out
down.
either. So they were stopping those regulations even with themselves, so they weren't getting a lot of people in and out themselves. So it was kind of like, what do you call it? It was just stalled. so
I
to
know,
speak.
I understand it, but he didn't lay anybody off from the jail. The sheriff did.
And
And
I
as much as we
appreciate the
know.
discussion.
Yeah, you're
Thank you,
right.
But
This
we
is not
need
the
to get
time
back
for
to
it.
the horse barn. And,
Yeah, that's right.
and also, I think Mr. Loring's, this is, just to clarify, we have, this is county building, so it's our responsibility to maintain, yes, these facilities. Marcia, over there, you had a
Yeah,
question?
this is for Mr. Farrar. This Robert Hogan, is he, did we arrive at him as a contractor because of an RFP, or was there another process?
No, the fair board took quotes and they picked a low quote.
Oh,
Yes, this did not go through our process.
and what determines what has to go through the process and what doesn't?
The board,
Well, we
they
said it
added
was
that.
okay.
The barns 1 through 4, they paid on for their own for the most part. There might have been a little bit of sharing there, but bulk of the payment of all the barns being redone came from the fair board.
Okay,
raising funds
so we're
for
just a minor
donations.
part of it. Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Oh, wait a minute, I had another question. On page 8, there were 2 grids there, or 2 boxes, and I couldn't figure out what the difference was.
okay, they're both, the one on the bottom is just showing the ways and means action, that it took, and then the subsequent full board meeting. I'm just showing you that Ways and Means approved the capital
Oh,
expenditures
okay,
as
so
well
the
as
same
the
thing is
full board.
presented to both groups.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm just
get it.
bringing that out.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we would need a ask for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes,
Commissioner Laring.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Commissioner Pego.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins. Yes. Commissioner Seer.
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright. Yes. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
8 yes.
And that passes. Thank you. Next item for consideration is CDSP 21/8-21 to approve the agreement regarding Dalton Township property and authorize the board chair to sign the agreement.
so moved.
Second.
We have a motion, sir. And any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes.
We're graced this afternoon to have
Yeah.
Matt and also the Dalton Township Supervisor to answer some questions. So thank you. Yes.
What is the plan? Is there any developer looking at these, or what are we?
That's probably more me.
Yeah, that's you.
Jeff Martin, Dalton Township Supervisor, and I appreciate everyone working on this, looking at this. We've been working on this for over 6 months. And basically how it had come up, I initiated the discussion, is that there were a ton of little properties. A lot of people know that if you bought a Chicago Tribune at one time, you get a tiny little piece of property, 25 by 100 feet in Dalton Township or in that surrounding area. So it's been odd over the years. Dalton Township has had property given to it in 1960s to 1970s. 87 was a big year by the county and the state. Some would need restrictions, some would not. A bit of a paperwork mess, so no one's wanted to tackle it and clean it up. There was an agreement made in the late 1980s that we don't have a date on by the supervisor Merle Hittle that the township signed, but the county did not sign. Farrah and I had looked that up. I think I found it in old files. And so to clean this up, we've worked on putting this in place. As far as a plan moving forward with it, there is not a specific one. The whole idea is to just make it available to people. Essentially, right now, the township is operating as a long-term land speculator, which I do not believe should be its role in this case. I believe it'll be a mix. There'll be some neighbors who have an adjoining property where they want to have some space between them and someone else, or they want to add onto their land. Some people will probably request properties and combine them on their own or divide them on their own to make them buildable. I haven't had any conversations with developers specifically about this property. We have other deals, business park, as you're all aware, because we voted on it before. We have things going in there. I have a lead on Wayside, which is a trailer park above the business park that I've talked to a developer about, but that is not involved in these specific cases.
Thank you, Supervisor Martin. Thank you for being proactive and taking the initiative to clean up this old mess.
Exactly. And I want to thank you, Jeffrey and Matt, to work together. This is great cooperation between the county and the local township to get this done that would potentially become tax revenue for the county and township. So good job. Marcia, you had a question?
Yeah, what are the size? There's a whole lot of
It's
lots
just-
here. What's the size of them?
It's a mix. So because it's changed over the years. The basic idea was moving property from the county and the state to the township would be more local management, and then something useful could be done with
Right.
it. Now, that hasn't fully fallen through the cracks. There was a horse trail built on township property that I believe was issued in 1990. And obviously, we're going to keep that, and that's perfectly fine. A lot of these were tiny little lots of 25 by 100, but a lot of them are a bit larger as well. Some of them, I believe, reach up to an acre, somewhere in that size. So it's a mix. And it's
Can you
kind of-
build on a 25 by 100-foot lot?
No,
Or is that
those
just
are
a
not
trailer.
Doing this.
So people would have to buy a decently
Multiple
large
lots.
block. And in residential zones in Dalton Township, you have to have 1 acre to make it buildable. And agricultural, it's 5 acres, but most of this area falls into a residential area.
And Jeff, you and Matt, we had an attorney look at this and basically we're good to go to the next level.
We went through a county and township attorney.
Is there any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good questions. This is exciting.
I think so too. I was-
My part, I think, and I have my hats off to those gentlemen. So I would need a roll call vote at this point for this item for consideration.
Commissioner Waring,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pego,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes. Thank you. And that passes. Next on the agenda this afternoon, unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business to come to this committee? No? Okay. New business, any new business to come to this committee? And we have public comment. Any public comment to address the committee at this point?
I don't see any online.
Okay, thank you. Final board comments?
I just
Yes.
have one comment. I'd just like to thank the supervisor of Dalton Township. This was something that I didn't even know that they had, that the Chicago paper had given away 25-foot lots in Dalton Township. This is a lot of property that could bring
Mhm.
tax dollars back to their municipality and the county. So I'm really glad to see you taking on that. So thank you.
And thanks, Susie, for commenting. I know as the vice chair on this, we had a lot of discussion at the motion review. And so this is good for everyone. So thank
I
you.
know Jeffrey's been busy the last 6
Yeah.
months cleaning up.
Yes, he
So,
has. So
yeah.
thank you. Any other board comments at this point? No, we're good. I would need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support. We're